Assalamu alaikum everyone. In this video we will be going to discuss the topical past papers of two topics, the use and abuse of drugs and microorganisms in biotechnology, which are the two chapters of O-level biology 5090. So let's begin with the first MCQ, which states that which condition is treated by antibiotics. So you should know that antibiotics are the drugs which kill bacteria or which treat bacterial infections. So option A states diabetes. So what is diabetes? Diabetes is a disease which is either caused by insulin deficiency or it is caused by decreased response of the target organs to insulin, that is known as the insulin resistance. Diabetes is not caused by any bacteria, so diabetes cannot be treated by antibiotic. Heroin addiction is a drug addiction to a drug known as heroin, which is not caused by bacteria, so it cannot be treated by antibiotics. Malaria is caused by a parasite known as the plasmodium, and plasmodium is not a bacterium, so malaria cannot be treated by antibiotics. If we talk about syphilis, so syphilis is a sexually transmitted disease which is caused by a spiral bacterium. So yes, syphilis can be treated by antibiotics. Let's move towards the MCQ number 2. This group of organisms have long thread-like bodies. Okay. Their cells contain nuclei. Some of them produce antibiotics. So you should know that these are the group of organisms which have long thread-like bodies, which means that these organisms contain hyphae. Hyphae are thread-like structures, and hyphae are found in the fungi. So these organisms are most likely to be multicellular fungi. Their cells contain nuclei. Yes, the cells of the fungus contain nuclei. Some of them produce antibiotics. Now this is confirmed because antibiotics are produced by fungi. So the answer is, which group of organism is being described? The fungi are being described. Let's move towards the MCQ number 3. The table shows the death rates from lung cancer amongst smokers and non-smokers. So the data shows that average number of average number of cigarettes smoked per day, and deaths from the lung cancer per year per 100,000 people. Okay, what can be concluded from the data? People who get lung cancer are likely to be smokers of 26 or more cigarettes per day. This is not true because the people who smoke less than 26 cigarettes, for example, people who smoke 15 to 25 cigarettes, or people who smoke 1 to 14 cigarettes per day, are also dying from lung cancer. And even the data suggests that people who are not smoking any cigarette, who are not smoking a cigarette, might still die from lung cancer. So the option A is wrong. Let's look at the option B. People who do not smoke will not get lung cancer. No, this statement is again wrong. Why? Because the data suggests that there are certain individual who died with lung cancer, and these individuals did not smoke cigarette. So people who do not smoke will not get lung cancer. This is not true. They might get lung cancer without smoking. Let's look at the option C. People who smoke have a higher chance of getting lung cancer. Yes, this is the true statement and this is the answer. Why? Because we can see from the data that as the number of cigarettes smoked per day increases, the number of deaths from the lung cancer per year increases. This shows that people who smoke have a higher chance of getting lung cancer. If we look at the option D, smoking causes lung cancer, again, this statement is wrong because there are certain individuals who died with the lung cancer and they did not smoke. Let's move towards question 4. The graph shows for one country the percentage of people who smoke cigarettes in the year 1960 to 2000. So if you look at the graph, we see that on the y-axis there is percentage of people who are smokers, and we can see that as the years pass by, 1960 to 2000, the percentage of people who are smokers is decreasing. Now let's look at the question. Which statement about what happened after 1960 is supported by the graph? Option A says that fewer people were dying of lung cancer. The deaths from the lung cancer is not mentioned in the graph. More smokers were dying. This is indirectly mentioned by the graph. How? Because we can see that the number of smokers or the percentage of people who are smokers is decreasing. So this might be a result of people dying due to smoking. So more smokers were dying. This can be true. Let's rule out the other options. Uh, Option C suggests that states that smoking was becoming less socially acceptable. So it's true that smoking has become socially unacceptable or smoking has become less socially acceptable, but that would not decrease the number of smokers. Why? Because for that, special areas or special cabins are assigned in which the smokers can go and smoke. So this would not decrease the number of smokers during these years. So C is not supported by the graph. Smoking was causing more lung cancer. Again, the information about the lung cancer is not given in the graph. So the answer is B. Let's move towards MCQ 5. Which statement describes a problem of using antibiotics? Option A states that antibiotics can cause bacteria to become immune. Actually, this is not immunity. Bacteria do not become immune, they become resistant. So the word resistant is important. They do not become immune. So the statement A is wrong. Antibiotics cannot be taken orally. No, this statement is again wrong. Antibiotics can be taken orally or they can be injected. Let's look at the option C. Antibiotics have no effect on viruses. This is actually the true statement that antibiotics cannot be used to treat viral infections. They do not kill viruses. Antibiotics stimulate the growth of bacteria in the gut. No, they decrease the growth of bacteria in the gut, and that could be a problem. So this statement is wrong. Let's move towards MCQ 6. In what way is carbon monoxide in tobacco smoke harmful? So you guys should know that carbon monoxide or CO found in the tobacco smoke binds or combines with hemoglobin irreversibly, preventing the binding of oxygen. So hemoglobin cannot bind and carry and transport oxygen within the body. Let's move towards the MCQ 7. The table shows results from a study into the effects of smoking while pregnant. So the first column shows the number of cigarettes smoked per day by a mother while pregnant. The second column shows average birth weight of the baby in kgs, and the third column shows the average height of the child at 15 years in centimeters. So which of these effects of smoking while pregnant is supported by the information in the table? So as we see that the number of cigarettes smoked per day by the mother while pregnant increases, the birth weight or the average birth weight of the baby in kgs decreases, and the average height of the child at 15 years in centimeter decreases as well. So if you look at the options, the answer is C, that what are the effects of smoking while pregnant that is supported by the information in the table? The supported effect is the reduced birth weight. Increased growth rate, no. Average height of the child at 15 years is decreasing, and also the average birth weight of the baby is decreasing, so there is decreased growth rate. Increased length of the pregnancy, the length of the pregnancy is not mentioned in the data. Reduced chance of respiratory disease, again there is no information about the respiratory disease in the data. Question number 8. Some drugs are listed: alcohol, heroin, and penicillin. Which of these drugs may be addictive, leading to possible withdrawal symptoms when their use is discontinued? Okay, so you should know that the drugs which cause addiction are alcohol and heroin. Alcohol in very high doses can cause addiction, and heroin can also cause addiction. Penicillin does not cause addiction because penicillin is an antibiotic. So only alcohol and heroin cause addiction, and when the person wants to quit these drugs, the person faces withdrawal symptoms. So the answer is B, 1 and 2 only. Let's move towards question number 9 or MCQ 9. The bar chart shows a percentage of women who gave birth to the babies of low weight amongst smokers and non-smokers. Okay, so among smokers, the percentage of women having babies with low birth weight is high. So what did I mention is that amongst smokers, the percentage of women having babies with low birth weight is high, and amongst non-smokers, the percentage of women having babies with low birth weight is low. Let's see the question. What is shown by the bar chart? More women smoke during pregnancy that do not. This is not shown in the data. The number of women that smoke during pregnancy and the number of women who do not smoke during pregnancy is not present in the data. What data shows is that among smokers, how many or what percentage of women had babies with low birth weight, and among non-smokers, what percentage of women had babies with low birth weight. So let's move towards the statement B. Statement A is wrong. Statement B suggests or state that smoking during pregnancy has no effect on the birth weight. No, we can see from the data that among smokers there are more percentage of women who had babies with low birth weight. So yes, smoking during pregnancy has effect on the birth weight. Smoking in pregnancies increase the risk of low birth weight. Yes, this is the true statement. Okay. Question number 10. Okay. Let's first rule out the option D. Women whose babies have low birth weight must have smoked in pregnancy. Not necessary. The data suggests that there are women who did not smoke and have babies with low birth weights. Question number 10 or MCQ number 10. A patient with sore throat. Sore throat is basically the ulcers in the throat which cause pain. So a patient with sore throat went to the doctor. The doctor examined the patient and then prescribed an antibiotic as the treatment. So if a doctor is prescribing antibiotic to treat sore throat, it means that sore throat is caused by bacteria, because antibiotics kill bacteria and treat bacterial infections. Question number 11 or MCQ 11. What are the antibiotics likely to be when are the antibiotics sorry when are the antibiotics likely to be most effective when the infection is caused by bacterium or fungus? This is the right statement. You should know that antibiotics kill bacteria, but they can also kill fungi. What you guys should know is that antibiotics are produced by fungi when they want to kill the other competing fungi and other competing bacteria. So antibiotics can kill both bacteria and fungi. Infection is caused by a virus. No, if the infection is caused by a virus, the antibiotic will not be effective. The disease is cancerous. Antibiotic is not effective against cancers. The pathogen can digest the antibiotic. If the pathogen can digest or break down the antibiotic, then the pathogen will be resistant to that antibiotic and the antibiotic will not be effective. Question number 12 or MCQ 12. Which component of tobacco smoke may cause lung cancer? So you should know that tar in the tobacco smoke or the cigarette smoke causes lung cancer. This is the fact. Let's move towards the next chapter, that is microorganisms and biotechnology. MCQ number 1. What benefit does yeast gain from carrying out fermentation? So you should know that yeast is used in bread making and alcohol making. What benefit we get is the bread and the alcohol, and what benefit the yeast gets from fermentation is that yeast gets energy which the yeast uses for growth. Let's rule out other options. Carbon dioxide is available for photosynthesis. This is actually the benefit to the plants and the other photosynthetic organisms. Ethanol is available for growth. No, ethanol is actually toxic to the yeast and other organisms. It is not available for growth. It is not required for growth. Glucose is available for respiration. Basically, when we talk about fermentation, we are talking about respiration. So if yeast carries out respiration, if yeast carries out fermentation, the yeast is carrying out respiration, and respiration makes energy available. So energy is the benefit. D is not the answer. MCQ number 2, yeast respires using sugar. So, what conditions are needed to make which product? So, yeast respires using sugar. What conditions are needed to make which product? If yeast respires anaerobically on sugars, the yeast produces alcohol. The answer is C. Question number 3 or MCQ 3, during the production of yogurt and cheese, the pH of the mixture changes. What causes this change in the pH? So you guys should know that for the production of yogurt and cheese, the bacteria are used, and bacteria convert the lactose in the milk to lactic acid, and when the lactic acid is produced, it causes the pH of the milk to decrease. So what causes this change in pH? The answer is the changing of lactose to lactic acid. Let's move towards the MCQ 4. When yeast is used in bread making, what type of respiration occurs and which product is useful? So in bread making, the type of respiration that occurs in the yeast is anaerobic, and the useful product is carbon dioxide, because the carbon dioxide causes the dough to rise. You should know that. Question number 5. In cheese production, which microorganism is involved? Bacteria are involved. What is the product of respiration and what effect does it have? So bacteria are involved. The products are lactic acid. Note that when yeast carries out anaerobic respiration, ethanol and carbon dioxide are produced, but when bacteria carry out anaerobic respiration, lactic acid is produced, and lactic acid causes the milk to solidify. So the answer is A. Question 6. Fermenters that are used to produce single cell protein may be closed or batch or open or continuous. We discussed in our classes that the closed or batch fermenters are involved in those cultures in which the nutrients and the microorganisms are added at the start of the fermentation. And when the fermentation is over, when the fermentation is finished, the products are removed. No nutrients are added during the fermentation process. In open or continuous cultures, what we do is that we add the microorganisms at the start and we start fermentation. And during the fermentation process, we are adding the nutrients and removing the products. So, what is the distinguishing feature between the closed and the open fermenters or the cultures is that in closed or batch culture, the nutrients are not added until the fermentation is finished. Whereas in open or continuous cultures, the nutrients are added continuously, right? So let's see which set of fermenter properties is correct. When we talk about closed fermenter, so nutrients are not added during the fermentation, so nutrients fall and the organisms die. So the option A says that growth rate of culture remains at optimum. No, the growth rate of culture will not remain at optimum. Why? Because the nutrients are being depleted or nutrients are being finished. So growth rate will increase initially when the nutrients will be available, and then the growth rate will decrease and eventually the organisms will die. So this statement is wrong about the closed culture. Vessel must be sterilized after each separate cycle. Yes, in a batch culture or in a closed culture, when we set up the fermenter again for another fermentation, we must sterilize the vessel. So this is the true statement. When we talk about the open or the continuous culture, so I just mentioned that products can be removed all the time or products are removed during fermentation process. So the answer is D. Fermenting microorganisms must be added all the time. No, this is not true for open. Microorganisms are only added at the start. And what we are adding continuously are the nutrients, not the organisms. Let's move towards the question 7. What is the role of bacteria used in cheese and yogurt production? The role of the bacteria is to convert lactose to lactic acid, and the lactic acid then causes the then coagulates the casein to form curds. So basically, the option A that states to coagulate casein to form curds is the role of lactic acid and not the bacteria. The role of bacteria is to convert lactose into lactic acid. Let's move towards MCQ 8. The MCQ 8 shows a fermenter. The diagram shows a fermenter used for the production of antibiotics. What happens at W, X, Y, and Z? So basically the hint over here is that Y, what should enter? We have discussed this part or this apparatus in our classes, and this is known as the sparger. So you should know that what is the function of the sparger. Sparger converts the stream of air into air bubbles. So what should enter? Y, the air should enter through Y. So air in is at Y, it means the answer is C, because no other option shows Y in air in. When we talk about antibiotic out, so yes, that would be Z, because this is the harvest line, which is through which the products are removed. Nutrients in, yes, we will be adding nutrients through W. And waste gases out, yes, the waste gases will be released from X. So the answer is C. 9. Which substance is produced during cheese production, and what is the effect of this substance on the milk proteins? The substance that is produced during cheese production is lactic acid, because bacteria are being used, and effect on milk proteins is that milk proteins are solidified. So the answer is A. Let's look at the question 11. The diagram shows the structure of a bacterium. In what ways does this differ from a cell of the fungus? The bacterium has a cell membrane, so you should remember that the cell of the fungus also has a cell membrane. There is no differentiating feature. The bacterium has a cell wall. You should know that the cell of the fungus also has a cell wall. The bacterium has cytoplasm. The cell of the fungus also has a cytoplasm. The bacterium has no true nucleus. This is the correct option, because the fungi have a true nucleus. What do we mean by true nucleus? A true nucleus is a nucleus which contains DNA that is surrounded by a nuclear envelope or a nuclear membrane. The bacteria do contain DNA, but there is no nuclear envelope or membrane. So we say that bacterium has a no true nucleus. Let's move towards the MCQ 12. During the production of yogurt and cheese, the pH of the mixture changes. What causes this change in the pH? The answer is breakdown of lactose sugar, which produces lactic acid that causes the change in the pH. Question 13. Which statement describes a problem of using antibiotics? This is a repeat question, and the answer is that antibiotics have no effect on viruses. So we are done with both the chapters, the paper 1. Thank you so much for watching.